Everyone thinks Social Security advice is one size fits all, but even making one mistake could cost you thousands of dollars every year. That's why it's important to have a Social Security strategy that's tailored to you. My name is Zach Morris, and I'm a certified financial planner and founder of Paces Ferry Wealth Advisors. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 of the most common and irreversible Social Security mistakes that could cost you thousands of dollars. So the first mistake is claiming Social Security too early and potentially missing out on a much larger benefit. A lot of times Social Security documents come in the mail and people feel like they need the money now. So they make a phone call, check a few boxes, and they start getting income. But maybe not always the right choice. By claiming early, you can be taking a haircut on your benefits by as much as 30% from your primary insurance amount. So your primary insurance amount is the amount that you get at your full retirement age, which is typically 66 or 67, and somewhere in between if your birthdays fall between 1954 and 1960. So if your primary insurance amount is $3,500 and you claim your benefit at 62, that gives you a benefit of $2,450 a month. But if you wait until 70, your benefit can increase beyond your full retirement age using what's called delayed retirement credits. And it can reach as high as 124% of your primary insurance amount, which would be around $4,340 a month. Now, it's also important to note that you're locking in a lower base for your cost of living adjustments to be applied to as well. Now, why does this matter? People are living longer, and considering what your life expectancy is based on your family history and current health technology, it's possible that you could live well into your 90s. I had a client come to me once that wanted to take his Social Security at 62. He was a single individual. He shared with me that both of his parents lived till 95, so he had longevity in his family. If he were to take Social Security at 62, he could be leaving as much as $700,000 on the table. Now, if we look at this chart, this is what's called a break-even analysis. So we're comparing two things. We're comparing taking Social Security at 62 versus taking it at 70. And we're assuming a life expectancy of 95 years old. So here you can see if he takes it at 62, he starts to get a lot more benefit early on. But by waiting later in life and starting to take it at 70, his benefit increases to a significant amount and he ends up breaking even right around age 77. So for another 18 years, he is going to be receiving a benefit that's more than it would have been if he took it at 62. Now, this was a single individual, so we're just assessing this based on purely his life worth of benefits. But if you're married, you also have to take into consideration survivor benefits and how much you could potentially leave to your spouse. And we're going to cover that in a couple minutes. But first, let's talk about something else that goes along with claiming too early. And that's not considering the earnings test. Assuming your full retirement age is 67 and you claim any time before that, depending on how much you're making at the time, it's possible that you get nothing from Social Security and 100% of your benefit is withheld. So the earnings test limit before your full retirement age is right around $23,000 and it's indexed for inflation. So it typically goes up every year. But for any amount that you're making over that amount, the Social Security is going to reduce your benefit by $1 for every $2 over that amount. So if you claim at 62 and you're working the whole time making $100,000 a year, it's possible that Social Security withhold your whole benefit. And if that benefit was $25,000, well, over the next 5 years, that could be $125,000 worth of benefits just because you claimed without taking into consideration earnings test and that you were still making some money. Now, in the year that you turn full retirement age, that limit is higher. It's closer to $62,000, but it's also indexed for inflation, so it changes every year. If you get your Social Security benefit and you don't fill out the paperwork correctly by submitting the right amount of income, and they just start sending you a benefit, they're going to find out eventually that you were working and potentially draw that benefit back. So they're going to claw it back by asking you to write a check, and it's not going to be pretty if that happens. Now, if you file Social Security and you fill out the paperwork correctly, you might find out very quickly that they're not giving you anything for your Social Security benefit. If you do this and you identify it in the first 12 months, you can pay back all of your Social Security benefit and make it like it never even happened. You file a form SSA 521, a request for withdrawal of application, and most likely want to check with your local Social Security office to figure out how to make sure you repay everything that they've paid you so far. It's possible that they've had to withhold taxes or even Medicare premiums that were deducted from your benefit in the event that you'd started Medicare already. Now, moving on to the next mistake that people make, which is just not coordinating with spouses. If you're married and you have two spouses with working histories, it's possible that you both have the ability to file for Social Security benefits on your own. The rules are there for us to understand and follow, but no one from the Social Security Administration is going to come back 5 years later and say, you really should have done this instead, here's a check. It's up to you to work with your advisor to identify the solution that's going to be the most prudent for your financial plan. Let's take a look at an example of a client that we've helped at Paces Ferry Wealth Advisors. Of course, names have been changed for confidentiality purposes. Sally and Joe both have a working history, but Joe is 15 years older than Sally. So the question is, when should Sally file for her Social Security if Joe waited until age 70? In this scenario, it's important to look at what Joe's life expectancy is, because if Joe is expected to live until 85 in this example, then it doesn't make sense for Sally to wait a day past 62. The second she's able to file, she should. So that the way survivor benefits work is that the surviving spouse is going to get 100% of whatever the higher benefit is between the two. Either way, one of those benefits is going away completely. So if Sally waited all the way until age 70 to maximize her delayed retirement credits, she would only get 1 year's worth of benefit before Joe passes away. And then her benefit would go away and she would switch to her survivor benefit, which would be the higher of the two. In this case, it's Joe's benefit. So she would only get 1 year's worth of benefit, or 1 year worth of dual benefits. And then her benefit would go away and she would be left with her survivor benefit. Now, taking the same couple with the same life expectancy and the same Social Security benefits, if she were to take it at age 62, she would get 8 years worth of benefits before Joe passes away. So that would have been just money she left on the table. But in this case, because she filed at age 62, she got all of those benefits, and then Joe passes away and she's left with her survivor benefit. So in this case, the total difference in total cumulative lifetime benefits is $270,000 that they would have been leaving on the table if she waited until age 70. The next mistake I want to talk to you about is not understanding what's called deemed filing. There used to be a strategy called file and suspend, or file a restricted application. But if you're born after the age of 1954, you can no longer utilize this strategy. You used to be able to file for your benefit and then suspend it, and a higher income earning spouse could get their spousal benefit off the lower income earning spouse's working history. But now, if you go to file for your Social Security benefit based on deemed filing rules, you're just going to get the higher benefit of whatever you're eligible for. So if your plan was to go ahead and take the smaller benefit for a couple years and let your benefit grow until you're 70, and then go back and switch to your own benefit, you can no longer utilize that strategy. Now, the last strategy I want to talk to you about, which is fairly common, and that's why it's always a good idea to talk to a financial advisor, because it's not understanding survivor benefits. So while most people understand that if you take Social Security at 62, 63, or 64, you're going to get a lower benefit, right? Because once you lock in that lower benefit, it's lower for life. So going back to our first point, and our first mistake is that people file too early. Well, with survivor benefits, it's not necessarily something that you need to worry about, because if you have your own benefit and you have your survivor benefit, you can mix and match those. You can take whichever benefit you want. So if you are eligible for a survivor benefit, you can take it as early as age 60. And if you have your own benefit based on your own working history, you can allow that benefit to grow until 67 or even 70 if you wish, and you can continue to take your survivor benefit for that whole period. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. Taking your survivor benefit does not diminish your own benefit based on your own working history. So let's say your survivor benefit at age 60 was $1,200 a month. Well, you could take your survivor benefit at age 60 and you could take it for the next 10 years. And when you turn 70, not only can you get your full retirement age benefit, but you can also get all of those delayed retirement credits. So essentially, you could get 124% of your full retirement age benefit, also known as your primary insurance amount, when you switch from your survivor benefit to your own benefit. So survivor benefits and your own benefits run two separate tracks. Taking one early does not affect the other's ability to grow. So to wrap this up, Social Security isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, and one wrong move could cost you thousands for life. That's why you need a strategy built around your situation, not just the standard advice. I'm Zach Morris, and I'm the founder of Paces Ferry Wealth Advisors. Thanks for watching today, and don't forget to subscribe for more retirement planning tips.